Hi everyone, so just out in my 1959 Series II. It's a beautiful early autumn day, making the most of it down some nice byways. It's a bit of a freak, this Series II. You may have seen it in my videos before. I love it. It's great fun to drive. Gets a lot of attention actually as well. People seem to love it for its quirkiness like I do. Today is just a long overdue update of things I've been doing to it. Mostly small jobs, solved a few problems, which is great news. Also got a couple of other problems, as is always the case with these Land Rovers. So I'll just talk you through what I've been doing, a few updates, walk around the car, the jobs I've been doing, some good news stories and a couple of bad news stories. So yeah, let's go. So you may remember from one of my previous videos, I identified the rear cross member as one of the parts that needed attention most, perhaps the most rusty. So as you can see, the white stuff here is some excess Genelite I've been using. So I've just been doing some investigation, not trying to immediately solve this, but the bits that were particularly rusty. So I've just been scraping back, wire brushing and treating what rust I found with Genelite. And you know, it's actually pretty solid. It's not as bad as I thought. So you can see in here, there's a lot of loose metal rusted away. You know, all these bits, and you can see the pile that I've got out from the bottom. I'll show you. So you can see here the pile of rusty metal that I've actually got out with a screwdriver from the rear cross member. That pile came from underneath here, the rear cross member. You can see the bottom part of it. Some pretty big holes in there. I actually deliberately made these holes a little bit bigger so that I could get these huge chunks of metal out. Rather embarrassingly, I also found 3 birds' nests in this part of the rear cross member, which I took out. I think they were wren's nests. I saw birds flying in there a while ago, so I'm not surprised that there was a nest in there. I left them to it, to be honest, at the time, and then forgot to clear it out. But this part is pretty bad. What I'll do is I'll clear the rest of the rust away, treat it with Genelite, but you know, this part is very solid. I'm not going to tow. I think this has got some life left in it. What I wanted to do was get all these huge chunks of metal that just sit here wet, rusting away and making it worse, get those out, which I've now done. So I'll treat this properly, obviously, in due course, scrape away all this rust, treat it, scrape back the paint and repaint this, and we'll do it properly. But I was just having a kind of doing some investigative work, as I say, to start with. So over the summer I was just having a look at the chassis as well. And it's actually remarkably good. So you can see I've been cleaning this and giving some of it a lick of paint, but it's pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with it for the age of the car. You know, 1959. There are some bits like here which I want to treat. So you know, this has got paint, and what I'm worried about is it potentially the paint and coatings that all these kind of chassis get on them potentially hide a little bit of rust. I've taken some off here and it's very minor surface rust, but I do intend to strip this back, treat and remove, just wire brush, remove any rust on there, and then clean it all up and repaint it. But yeah, pretty pleased with that. You may also remember I had a problem with the rear brake light that was staying on even when I wasn't pressing the brake pedal. So that was quite an easy fix. Obviously here's the brake pedal, and as you depress it, obviously it releases this switch which activates the rear brake light, and the problem was simply that the pedal wasn't returning properly. So that was an easy fix. I've put a new spring on, and also while I was at it on the clutch, the spring that was on here was not the right spring. It was too small, not enough tension, not pulling the brake pedal quite back far enough. So that was a nice easy fix, easy win. So while I'm in here, you will see the top of the footwell here is really quite rusty. And so again, I've been treating this. I've actually scraped back a lot of the paint. You can see in the corner there, as I scraped away, there's a couple of holes in the top of the footwell here. I'll show you from the other side. And the other side of the footwell here, you can see those holes in the top. But the rest of it is pretty solid. So I'm going to probably leave that for the moment. yes, I could patch it, but the rest of the footwell is decent. So again, I'll just, treat this, scrape it back, repaint it. You can see the top of it's going there as well, but we'll sort that out. And I think probably, at least for the time being, leave this. I've got some other jobs that need doing. So while we're talking about rust and the footwells and bulkhead, I thought I'd show you the passenger side, which does have some, but it's not nearly as bad. So a little bit here to treat, scrape this back, the paint, and treat that. The door bottoms, of course, notorious spots to go, and you can see they're well rusted away here. But we're treating what's left and keeping them, at least for the time being. There's quite a lot of jobs obviously on this, and in due course I'll probably replace these door bottoms, but yeah, it's not actually up on the top of the list yet. You may also remember from a previous video me mentioning that the clutch pedal was not returning. So I had a major issue with this, to be honest. I thought it was something to do with probably the clutch fluid had leaked out or something. The slave cylinder, master cylinder maybe needed replacing. In fact, although this is still fairly stiff, it's now returning well. It wasn't just the spring. I'll show you what it was. So as you can see, my car has a modification here where the whole of the front wings come up along with the bonnet rather than just the bonnet, so it allows great access to the engine bay, but does leave me with a bit of a predicament about how to keep it open, so I actually use a couple of wooden stakes. Any better ideas and suggestions, very welcome. So when I was investigating the problem with the clutch I was just describing, this was all a mess hanging off, so I've just put some temporary screws in. These aren't right, I haven't got the right size at the moment, so we'll sort that out. But this was all hanging off, and I thought, well, it must be something to do with either the master cylinder or the fluid, given this was such a mess. I was trying to bleed the system, and I just couldn't undo the nut to bleed it on the slave cylinder. So I had to give up, basically. But when I was kind of just sorting this out a bit, I realised that you can actually take this nut off, which is, I guess, the pivot point here for the top of the clutch pedal mechanism, and you can insert some grease. So I actually syringed some grease in here, as I say, into the top of the where it pivots in the clutch pedal mechanism, and also put some in on top of the pedal mechanism here. And it started getting better, and now the more I use it, the better it gets. And it turns out it was just this rusted old sticking pedal mechanism that was the issue all along. So I thought I had a major problem because I couldn't bleed the system. This was a last resort, and I'm very glad I tried it because it's such a simple fix, and I just didn't think it would be that, to be honest. I knew it wasn't the spring, but I didn't think it would be this. So now I'm using it more. It's getting better and better, as I say. Obviously just seized up over time. So excellent, that was a lovely, lovely easy fix. Yeah, I couldn't even get it in first gear, stationary. You can see that goes in fine, no graunching. And just show you driving so much better. That clutch pedal straight up. And you still have to be quite careful and very precise with your gear changes. Make sure you're exactly in the right place. No synchro mesh, and probably quite a warm gearbox, but you can see that goes in fine. It was usually, of course, on the downshift it was worse. Hopefully I can show you. So a slight graunch there actually, but it's not too bad. It's nothing like it was. So just to show you, I'm not sure if you can see the clutch release there, but as I say, straight into first, no problems. You have to be quite precise, as I say, into second and slow, but it's fine. So pleased to be able to drive this car again properly. I was really worried it was some fairly major clutch issues or just the clutch system, which I was struggling to bleed, as I said. So there you go, up to third, and then back down into second. As I say, it's a very slight graunch, but as long as you're careful and very precise, it's fine. I'm so happy. And what you also might have noticed when you saw me driving along is I have a galvanised door top on here. So I fitted this. My plan was to use the original door tops and tidy them up I bought new runners, which are just totally rusted away, and I was going to replace those. But you can see here on the driver's side, so I've still got the old door top on the driver's side, and you can see these runners were just totally rusted away. And so I thought, no problem, I will just replace the runners, even though there's some rust down here. I thought, let's give this a go. As you can see, I've got one pane of glass out, but the screws in this top part I just cannot get out. The panes of glass are an absolute nightmare to get out, and this is just, I can't get it out. You know, it's been here so long and rusted in. The screws, you know, I probably could if I don't know, chiseled them out or something, but I decided basically to give up, if I'm brutally honest, and buy galv tops. So I've, you know, they're not in the best state anyway, and I thought, I'll treat myself to some galv tops, and it'll be much quicker and easier. So the other side, the passenger side, the door top came off relatively easily. Here, I cannot remove these nuts. I say easily, yeah, it was still a nightmare getting off, but this one I just cannot get off. So this is the next job as well today. Grind this off while I've got the grinder out for the seat, and stick the galv top on here so we have some weather protection, because it's only got one pane of glass at the moment. So despite the different t-shirt, this is the same day. I went straight back and started grinding off the bolt. The nut nearest the door handle I could actually loosen, but this one that I'm cutting now, I really couldn't. Took quite a lot of grinding to get through the bolt, obviously being careful not to cut into the door, but got it off in the end. So there we go, we finally got through it. I've just taken off that last washer on there, still quite hot. This one I did actually manage to undo. The other one there was no way, I'd tried several times. So that should be this one off. Be glad to see the back of this, to be honest. This might not be straightforward. So unfortunately the only way I could get that off, these bolts were really stuck, and I had to in the end just snap off these bolts. Yeah, not great, but I think I'm going to just about be able to get these out. They're starting to move now, so see if I can get them out. It's a lot of years of rust there. It's coming. There we go. Got it. Excellent. I thought I wasn't going to be able to get that out, to be honest. Okay, and just dry this one. Well, we got them both off in the end. Obviously, I'd already got the passenger side door top off, and I just wanted to show you the difference here. The runners on both sides were totally shot. You can see that's totally gone. But these came out a bit more easily. I could get the bolts off, the nuts off the bolt, and you can see along here it's actually not too bad. You know, I'll probably try and sell this. But then the driver's side one, you know, those bolts were just a nightmare to get out, and you can see how bad the rust is on the bottom of this. It's no wonder I couldn't get it out. Trying to lever it with the screwdriver and it was just going into the rust. Those bolts, as you saw, were totally rusted and difficult to get out. So I think my decision to go for the galvanised door tops is vindicated. So now hopefully for the easy bit, getting the new top on. Great. I'm quite excited about having this back on before the autumn and the rain sets in as well. It's taken me a while to get round to. Obviously this ultimately needs painting, but I realistically not going to have time to do this before winter, so just wanted to get the door top on, get sorted. I'm glad I've replaced both of these now. It almost looks like a car, so yeah, pleased with that, and we'll look forward to painting next year. So I was having a general look around, seeing how badly wet this is with oil. There is a leak, doesn't seem too bad. But what I am surprised and embarrassed that I didn't spot previously is this big crack in the exhaust manifold here. So this is the next major thing to get sorted without doubt, because this crack, as you can probably see, is fairly big. You can't see round the back of it, but I suspect it goes all the way round and it's just being held in place by what's there. This ideally needs replacing, but I've just been to see someone at the local garage who's a Land Rover owner, and reckons he can weld this, and we'll see how it goes. So it's obviously a stopgap, but I'll get this welded, in fact, next week, and we'll hope that it's good enough to last for a while. I realise it's a bit of a bodge job, and I'll end up replacing this section of the manifold at some point, I suspect anyway, but just want to get it so that I can use it again, and we'll see how the weld holds up. So inside quickly, this is obviously looking a bit of a mess, as this was just really rusty, this driver's seat frame. That's gone like that because I've wire brushed back and treated some Genelite, and I'll brush that back again, but I've decided I'm just going to keep them. I think these are salvageable. You can see how rusty it is. This is the other side of the same frame. I've already wire brushed this, but you can see obviously not treated with the Genelite. So, I'll tidy these up. It's amazing what you can do to make them look better. So I'll keep these for the moment. And then passenger side, you may remember this beautiful 1980s, possibly Vauxhall Nova seat, which is obviously really in keeping with the 1959 Series II. So I wanted to remove this. It's pretty grim, and so I thought I would just be able to remove it from the runners, and then use the same seat frame to put in a replacement, original looking Series II seat. So first thing that was a problem is actually this is welded. These runners, this is welded to the old seat frame. So the first thing I've done is to cut through those welds. I've done the other side, and when I get back home today, I'm going to get through these so we can get rid of this bloody seat. The other slight annoying thing is that you can see the part to attach the seat back has been cut off, ground off, and I hadn't realised this at the time. So I won't be able to use this frame because I can't fit an original, it hasn't got the kind of bracket part, I'll show you on the other side, to fit the seat back to. So what I'm hoping is that once I get this grind through here, take this seat and this runner off, leaving this part of the frame here, I need to be able to get this off. I can't do it from underneath, the bolts are just a nightmare, so I'm hoping that once this seat's off, I can get this up and perhaps reach the nuts underneath that are attaching this frame and get that out. So that's the next job. So here you can see these are the parts for the seat back. So this kind of bracket allows the seat back to be fitted, and this is what's been cut off on the passenger side, annoyingly. So after a lot of grinding, I've got through all of these welds, this side and the other side, and this is now free. So this is a good day. It's a moment I've been waiting for a long time, getting rid of this seat. Looks like I can get to them this side under here, but the ones underneath obviously underneath the body are extremely corroded and difficult to get to, so I'm not convinced I'll get this off. But let's start with this one and see how we go. It looks like these will come off easily enough. So I'll get this one off, but I've had a look underneath before, and they're really bad. Anyway, I might be able to get them off somehow, we'll see. Start with this one, and I think finishing off this is going to be for another day. So really pleased to get those jobs done that make the car actually drive, so sorting the clutch pedal, also getting the door tops on and the seat out. Really pleased with that. A little bit of progress, I know it's minor. Obviously lots more jobs to do, so the next on the list will be trying to get a replacement seat in, obviously treating this rust better all around the car, particularly the footwells, the rear cross member, and obviously getting this exhaust manifold welded as soon as possible. So those are the next jobs on the hit list. There'll be loads more to do, obviously. But yeah, please do offer me some advice. I'm quite new to this, so all advice welcome. I'll do an update video soon of what I managed to do, and probably some more jobs by then. And thanks very much for watching. If you've made it this far through the video, thanks very much. Really appreciate you watching all the way through to the end. If you can leave a thumbs up, that would be awesome. Really helps small channels like mine. And if you want to see future videos, there'll be lots more. Please do consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon. Thanks again. Bye.